Imagine waking up one day and just for a moment, everything around you feels strange and hollow. The daily routine that once drove you, the work, the errands, the endless stream of notifications on your phone, none of it makes sense. In that quiet, disorienting moment, a question drifts through your mind. What is the meaning of life? It's a question so profound and so fundamental that it can stop you in your tracks. Maybe it hits you late at night after a long, exhausting day, or in the silence of an early morning when you're alone with your thoughts. Whenever it comes, it demands your attention. It's as if some part of you recognizes that beyond all the busy details of living, there must be a deeper reason, a purpose that ties it all together. You're certainly not alone in asking. Every one of us, at one point or another, feels the urge to understand why we're here. This very question has echoed through the minds of countless people across every culture and era. Thousands of years ago, under ancient skies, our ancestors looked up at the stars with wonder and curiosity, pondering their place in the universe. Philosophers have debated it, religions have preached about it, scientists have studied aspects of it, and ordinary people like you and me have quietly struggled with it in the privacy of our hearts. The search for life's meaning is a thread that runs through human history, connecting us all in a shared quest. But even though the question is universal, the answers often seem deeply personal. Think about it. If you asked 100 different people, what gives your life meaning? You might get 100 different answers. One person might say it's their children. They live for the joy of watching their kids grow, learn, and thrive. Another might find meaning in their work. Perhaps a doctor saving lives or a teacher inspiring young minds finds a profound sense of purpose in what they do each day. Someone else might point to faith or spirituality, drawing meaning from a belief in something greater than themselves. And another might find it in creativity, in painting, writing, or music, losing themselves in art that expresses something true and beautiful. These answers can be as varied as our lives themselves. For some, meaning is about connection, the love and relationships that make life rich. For others, it's about achievement, the goals we chase and the milestones we reach. It can be about service, helping others and making a difference, or about discovery, exploring and understanding the world around us. It might even be about experiencing life fully, savoring the simple pleasures of each day, like the warmth of the sun on your face, or the comfort of a heartfelt conversation late at night. What's remarkable is that none of these answers are wrong. Each one is true for that person, in that life, at that time. So does that mean the meaning of life is different for everyone? Possibly, in the details, yes. Each of us walks a unique path. A young artist pouring their soul into a canvas might find meaning in self-expression, while a volunteer at a shelter finds meaning in easing the suffering of others. A parent might find it in the unconditional love for their child, while an adventurer discovers it in the thrill of pushing boundaries and seeing the world. Life doesn't come with one universal manual that says, "Here's the answer." If it did, this question probably wouldn't fascinate us so much. Instead, life hands us a mystery, and it's on each of us to explore and interpret it. This might feel a bit unsettling. If there's no single answer, how do we know if we've got it right? How do we avoid wandering aimlessly? The idea that life's meaning isn't one size fits all is actually liberating when you think about it. It means meaning isn't something handed to you. It's something you can discover, shape, and even create for yourself. We have the freedom to find meaning in the things that matter most to us. Rather than being given a purpose, we get to choose our purpose. And that choice can evolve over time as we grow and our perspectives change. Consider how this plays out in everyday life. Picture someone who's always been focused on building a career. Maybe they spend decades climbing the corporate ladder, believing that success and recognition at work are the ultimate meaning of their life. Then something happens. Perhaps they have a child, or they lose someone they love, or they experience a health scare. In the face of that life-altering moment, their perspective shifts. Suddenly, the promotions and accolades don't shine as brightly. They start to find greater meaning in being with family or in simply being healthy and present. This doesn't mean their career was meaningless. It just means that what they value most has evolved, and so has the meaning they derive from life. Or imagine a student diligently studying to become, say, an engineer, because that's what their parents wanted and what they thought success looked like. But in the process, they stumble upon a volunteer opportunity to teach kids how to build simple machines. In those afternoons spent with the children, seeing eyes light up with excitement, the student feels something new, a sense of purpose that was missing from their own structured plans. They might realize that this, the joy of teaching and inspiring others, is what makes them feel alive more than the career they were pursuing. They may change course, or they may find ways to incorporate that newfound source of meaning into the life they build. These examples show that meaning can be fluid. It can change with our experiences and circumstances, and that's okay. Life is not a static thing. It's a dynamic journey. What gives us meaning at one stage might grow or take on new forms later. The key is remaining open and attentive to those things that resonate deeply with us, those moments that make us feel, "This is why I'm alive." Now, finding meaning doesn't always happen in moments of epiphany or dramatic change. Often it creeps up on us subtly in everyday moments. We might not realize how meaningful something was until later. Think of a time you helped a friend through a tough day, listening to their troubles. At the time, you might have thought you were just being supportive. But looking back, you might recognize that in that moment of compassion, you experienced a profound sense of purpose. Being there for someone, easing their burden, even if only a little. In the daily routine, these moments can seem small, but they accumulate into something significant. On the flip side, many of us have also felt the lack of meaning at times. It can feel like a void or a heavy cloud of emptiness. Maybe you've gone through days where everything feels routine, mechanical, and you start wondering, is this all there is? Am I just going through the motions? That feeling can be distressing. Psychologically, having a sense of meaning is known to be an important part of well-being. When people lose their sense of purpose, they often slip into despair or apathy. History has shown, and psychologists affirm, that we're remarkably resilient when we have a reason to live for, but we struggle when we don't. One powerful example of this comes from Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who endured the horrors of a concentration camp during World War II. In his memoir, he observed that the prisoners who survived weren't necessarily the physically strongest. They were often the ones who had something to hold on to, a vision of the future, a loved one they hoped to reunite with, a goal or purpose waiting for them. Frankl famously wrote that, "Those who have a why to live can bear almost any how." In other words, if you have a meaning or purpose, you can endure great difficulties. His experience suggests that meaning can literally become a lifeline, a reason to push forward even in the darkest times. Now, most of us will, hopefully, never face trials as extreme as Frankl did. But the principle holds true in our everyday struggles. Think about the challenges you've overcome in your life, whether it was heartbreak, failure, illness, or loss. What pulled you through those times? Often it was something meaningful, the support of family or friends, the determination to pursue a dream, or even the resolve to survive so you can see tomorrow. Those anchors are part of what gives life its meaning for you. They keep you grounded when the storms hit. So, if meaning is so vital, how do we go about finding it? Where do we look? There's no simple formula, but a good start is to pay attention to what truly matters to you. What lights you up, or conversely, what pains you deeply. Sometimes our passions and our pains are road signs pointing toward meaning. If you feel strongly about something, it likely holds meaning for you. For instance, if you've always felt strongly about injustice in the world, maybe you find meaning in working towards fairness and helping the vulnerable. If creating music moves you like nothing else, then that creative process might be a key part of your life's meaning. It can also be helpful to think about the times when you felt most fulfilled. Was it when you were connecting with others? When you were achieving something after a long effort? When you were learning something new? Our fulfillment often hints at our purpose. It's like an internal compass. When you do something that aligns with your sense of meaning, you feel a kind of rightness, a satisfaction that goes beyond just pleasure or fun. It's deeper than that. It feels like harmony. Sometimes, to find meaning, people embark on journeys, literally or metaphorically. We often imagine that a grand quest or a dramatic experience might reveal life's purpose in a flash of insight. But more often than not, meaning reveals itself gradually, through experiences and reflection. There's a simple symbolic story that illustrates this well. Imagine a young seeker who was determined to find the meaning of life. He felt that surely, somewhere, there must be a clear answer, a secret, a revelation that would make everything clear. So he set off on a journey, leaving behind his home and all the familiar comforts. He traveled far across many landscapes, crossing green valleys and climbing rocky hills, searching for wise people who might have the answer. The first person he encountered was an old farmer working in his field. The seeker found the farmer in the golden light of late afternoon, gently patting soil around some newly planted saplings. The seeker asked, "Excuse me, do you know the meaning of life?" The old farmer paused, leaned on his shovel, and looked at the young traveler with kind, tired eyes. "For me," the farmer said, "right now the meaning of life is to care for these young trees. I'm planting them so that years from now, they'll provide shade and fruit for my grandchildren. I may not live to see them full grown, but knowing I've planted something that will live on gives me peace and purpose." The seeker thanked him and continued on, puzzled that the man's answer was about such a simple task as planting trees. Next, the seeker came upon a bustling town. There he met a baker pulling bread out of a big stone oven. The bread smelled wonderful, and people were lined up at the bakery door. When the crowd thinned, the seeker asked the baker, "Do you know the meaning of life?" The baker wiped his brow and smiled. "When I was younger," he said, "I thought it was fame or fortune. I chased those for a while and failed, but along the way I learned to bake. Now, every morning I wake up before dawn to make bread. It's hard work, but it feeds my family and my neighbors. When I see the same people come in each day, grateful and cheerful, and I see my children well-fed and happy, I feel a sense of meaning. My life means something to them, and that's enough for me." The seeker nodded, understanding a bit more. For this man, meaning was tied to nurturing others and providing comfort in a humble way. As he journeyed on, the seeker came to a village by the sea. There he met a young woman sitting by the shore, painting the sunset with vibrant colors. She was an artist. The seeker posed his question to her as well. "In all the world, have you discovered the meaning of life?" The artist thought for a moment and replied, "I find meaning in capturing moments like this. When I paint, I feel connected to something greater, the beauty of nature, the emotions within me. It's like I'm in tune with life itself. I don't know if life has one grand meaning, but I know that when I'm creating, it feels meaningful to me, as if I'm adding a little bit of beauty to the world." The seeker watched the golden sun dip below the horizon and sensed the serenity in the artist's voice. Her answer was different yet again, and it made sense in its own way. The seeker continued, meeting many others along his way. A teacher who found meaning in guiding students, a a healer who found it in easing pain, a traveler who found it in discovering new places and learning from different people. Each person had their own answer, and each answer was tied to what they loved, valued, or felt compelled by. Eventually, after many miles and conversations, the young seeker reached the dwelling of a wise sage high up on a mountain, a person reputed across the land to understand great truths. This was to be the climax of his journey. If anyone could tell him the definitive meaning of life, surely it would be this sage. The sage welcomed the weary seeker into a simple hut and gave him water and a seat by a warm fire. The seeker, eager and a little anxious, finally asked the question he had traveled so far to deliver. "Please, I have traveled very far to find you. I need to know, what is the true meaning of life?" The sage smiled gently and was quiet for a long time, watching the flames dance in the hearth. Finally, the sage spoke. "My friend, I cannot give you the answer you seek." The seeker's heart sank. Had his journey been for nothing? But the sage continued, "I cannot tell you the meaning of your life because it is not something I hold in my hands to give. It is something that you must find and give to yourself. Along your journey here, what have you seen and heard?" The seeker reflected on his travels. He remembered the farmer planting trees for the future, the baker feeding his community, the artist capturing beauty, and all the others who had shared their pieces of meaning. "I've met many people," the seeker replied. "Each of them found meaning in different things. One in caring for his family and the future, another in serving others, another in creating art. Each seemed content in their purpose, yet none of them gave the same answer as any other." The sage nodded. "And what do you conclude from that?" The seeker thought and slowly began to smile as the realization dawned on him. That meaning is something personal. Each person found it in their own way. There isn't one single meaning of life, is there? It's different for everyone, and it depends on what we do and how we touch others and what we love. The sage's eyes shone kindly. "Yes, the meaning of life is the meaning you give to life. It's the purpose and love and curiosity you infuse into your days. It's less about finding some hidden secret and more about noticing and nurturing what makes your life feel worthwhile." The seeker nodded, feeling both a little foolish and profoundly enlightened. He realized that in asking others, in seeing what brought them meaning, he had gathered bits of wisdom that he could now weave into his own life. The journey itself, with all its experiences and lessons, was already giving his life meaning. The seeker thanked the sage and made the long journey back home. But he was not the same person who had left. He returned with a heart full of stories, lessons, and a newfound understanding that life's meaning isn't a single answer waiting at the end of the road. It's something we create along the path. The story of the seeker is a simple one, but its lesson is profound. Meaning is not a destination, but a journey. It's not a treasure hidden on a mountaintop, but a light that we kindle through our actions, relationships, and dreams. The seeker's mistake was thinking that someone else could hand him a perfectly wrapped answer. What he discovered is that each person is, in a way, writing their own answer through how they live. So, what does this mean for you, listening to this right now? It means that your life's meaning is not fixed or given to you by someone else. It's something you can discover for yourself, day by day. That might sound like a big responsibility, but it's also a great freedom. You get to decide what matters most to you. You get to choose what principles to live by and what goals to pursue. You get to change and redefine your purpose as you grow, and there's no one right or wrong answer. Only the answer that is true for you. Now, some might worry that if meaning is something we choose or create, does that make it less real? The truth is, meaning is as real as the impact it has on our lives. Think about love as an analogy. Love isn't a physical object you can hold, but few would argue that love isn't real when we feel it deeply. It drives people to do incredible things, to sacrifice, to strive, to become better. In the same way, the meaning we give our lives might not be a tangible object, but it's very real in how it shapes our experiences and our actions. If you decide that what matters to you is, say, helping others, and you live by that, then that meaning becomes real in the world through your deeds. If you find meaning in understanding the universe and become a scientist uncovering its secrets, the meaning is manifest in your curiosity and discoveries. If your meaning comes from nurturing your family, it becomes real in the loving home you create and the people your children become. These meanings we choose for ourselves guide us like stars on a dark night. They give us direction and a sense of where we're going, even when life gets confusing or hard. It's also important to mention that finding meaning is not a one-time task, but an ongoing process. Life can change in an instant, and our understanding of meaning can deepen over years. Sometimes people find that the activities or beliefs that used to give them a strong sense of meaning no longer do. This can be disorienting, but it's also a sign of growth. It means you're not the same person you were before, and it might be time to seek new avenues of purpose that fit who you are now. When that happens, remember the seeker's lesson. Engage with the world, try new things, and pay attention to what resonates. You might discover new passions or causes that ignite a spark in you. Maybe you'll meet someone who inspires you to view life differently. Maybe you'll face a challenge that, while difficult, leads you to a more meaningful chapter of your life. Keep the dialogue with yourself open. It's okay to ask the meaning of life question more than once. In fact, we revisit it in different forms throughout our lives, when choosing a career, when coping with loss, when celebrating successes, and even in quiet moments of gratitude. Another key point is that meaning often comes from connecting with something beyond ourselves. While it is personal, it usually isn't just about the self in isolation. Think back to all those people the seeker met. Each one's meaning involved something outside of themselves: future generations, neighbors, art that others could see, students, patience, knowledge for humanity, love for family. Meaning tends to blossom when we transcend our own ego and relate to others or to some larger context. It doesn't have to be grand or global. It can be as intimate as caring for a pet or tending a garden. But in doing so, we are participating in something bigger than just our own solitary existence, and that feels meaningful. Now let's address a common worry. Sometimes we think our lives need to be extraordinary to be meaningful. We see stories of great heroes, famous leaders, saints, or geniuses and think, if I'm not doing something huge, does my life matter? It's true that those people found meaning in remarkable achievements or sacrifices, but a life doesn't have to be famous to be meaningful. A quiet life can be deeply meaningful if it's filled with love, integrity, and intention. The meaning of life doesn't necessarily show up in history books or headlines. It shows up in how you live each day. It could be in the kindness you show to strangers, the effort you put into your passions, the way you overcome difficulties without losing hope, or the joy you cultivate and share with others. Think about a simple metaphor, a single candle in a dark room. To the world at large, that candle's light might seem insignificant, but to someone in that room, it makes a world of difference. Likewise, the meaning you create in your life might not be globally visible, but it can shine brightly in your corner of the world, especially in the lives of those around you. As we come toward a conclusion, let's circle back to that big question. What is the meaning of life? After all this reflection, perhaps we can see that it isn't a question with one definitive answer at all. Instead, it's an invitation to engage with life more deeply. It nudges us to look beyond the surface of our daily grind and to pay attention to what truly matters to us. In a way, the question is more important than any single answer because it opens us up to examine our lives and shape them intentionally. So maybe the meaning of life is not a pre-written answer, but something like this. The meaning of life is to live it meaningfully. It sounds circular, but think about it. To live meaningfully means to live with purpose, to live with heart, to make choices that align with your values and passions, to learn from your experiences, and to connect with others. It means appreciating the fact that life is finite and precious, and therefore making the most of the time we have. When you live in this way, even though you may not be able to put a single neat label on the meaning of life, you will feel that meaning in your life. It will be present in the contentment you feel as you fall asleep at night, knowing you spent your day on things that matter. It will be evident in the resilience you show when things go wrong because you have something worth fighting for or holding on to. It will shine in the gratitude you feel for the people and moments that make your journey worthwhile. In the end, perhaps the simplest and most empowering truth is that life is what we make of it. The meaning of life is not hidden in some far-off place. It is woven into every day by the choices we make and the love we give. If you seek meaning, start with the small things that matter to you and nurture them. Over time, those small things grow into a tapestry of purpose. Think of your life as a story. Every day you write a new line, a new page. Not every page will be filled with high adventure or profound wisdom. Some days might seem ordinary or even tough. But over the course of the story, themes emerge. You might notice that courage, love, learning, or kindness is a recurring theme in your story. Those themes are clues to the meaning that's taking shape in your life. And unlike a book, as long as you're alive, the story isn't finished. You can always influence how it unfolds. As you finish listening to this, you might not have a single tidy answer to the meaning of life. Few of us ever do. But hopefully you feel encouraged that this question isn't a dead end. It's a door to a deeper kind of living. You carry the keys to that door within you. By paying attention to what moves you, by caring for others, by daring to dream and to act, by embracing both the joys and the challenges of life as part of your growth, you create meaning.